So our emotional body now is a bridge between really the universe and Earth, between the other dimensions and this existence that we have here. And what happens in this emotional body, as you know, we have the physical, we have the mental, we have the emotional, the etheric, the causal. So we have various dimensional bodies. Today we are discussing the emotional body, which is the one that we feel the most right now with all the changes that are happening. That emotional body stores any traumas that we have in life, any old memories that have not been processed, or any karmas and karmic echoes. It's also being stored in that emotional body. So when there's too much of these unprocessed emotions stored there, congested there, it creates confusion, internal conflict, stagnation on our spiritual path, and we just feel that something is really blocked. And that's what we are going to be discussing today, and the tools to be able to clear that up. So why does it feel hard right now? There is a lot of processing now that is happening once we are shifting in from the third dimension to the fifth dimensional vibration. A lot of ancestral memories, really, karmas, personal traumas, is being cleared up and released. But when it's being released, there is a pain that we would feel in that process. And that's kind of the pain of the fire of the karmic transformation itself. We are processing, we're clearing a lot of karmas right now. And in that process, a lot of old memories come up. And things that we think we've cleared up already, and then we find out that it's still, it's coming back up again. But it's not coming up just because it's staying there. It's coming up to be released. And that's what we need to realize. So let's keep in mind that really this is such a wonderful time right now. It's a very unique divine experience that doesn't happen that often, really. It happens every many generations. It just happens once, and we are one of the lucky ones to be able to experience that. So what we need to realize right now is that we need to allow ourselves to release, to contain ourselves, to release all timelines, to release the ancestral pain, to clear the stored traumas from this life and from past lives, and to stop absorbing collective energies or energies from other people that just no longer serve our soul evolution. So the overwhelming feelings that many of us are experiencing right now can be galactic traumas, as they call it, or soul lineage grief. These are very ancient memories of all kinds of traumas and catastrophes that happened in the past, and it's registered in our genetic memory. And we are just releasing some of these as well. Inner child wounds. So these are the injuries that happened to us when we were children. And being empathic, being open, seeing the world in a pure way, and then being rejected or being blocked and criticized or diminished and pushed down. These are all wounds that are surfacing right now. Now we may not remember them all, but we just feel the impact of them. And that's the processes that we will be going through right now. Also, twin flame triggers and dynamics, which activate really deep emotional layers. The twin flame concepts, or the soulmate and twin flame interactions, they can be quite challenging because they're accelerating our processing of some of these restrictions or limitations that we have. And then because we are opening psychically so much right now, the sensitivity psychically and empathically and intuitively is opening so much. There's just an overload of information, an overload of impressions, of feelings, and we're becoming really hyper empathic. We're just sensing, we can sense everything that's happening on the planet. We feel the pain that can be happening in other countries. We can lose a lot of energy like that because of this overwhelm. And we lose the sense of boundaries between us and situations or us and people. These are all the areas that we need now to collect, gather, and get control of, and start processing them and clearing them up. So there are 4 tools that we will be exploring today. And these are the tools to process all these areas that concern us right now with this transition. The first one is affirmations. And we can consider them as mantras. And we will go and explain the details of what that is after. The second one is breath work, breathing in certain rhythms and clearing the emotions in a certain way, because we know that chi is moved by the breath. So to regulate the chi, we have to have the discipline to focus our breathing and regulate our energy flow, and then repeat certain affirmations as mantras to reprocess things and clear them up quicker this way. The third tool that we will explore as well is etheric hygiene. It's the energetic boundaries that we are interacting with right now. Before, we were just a physical body with a mind that's thinking and some feelings. But now we're suddenly expanding that so much that our feelings are sensing a whole planet, if not the whole universe. And exploring things and just connecting with things on a completely different dimension. Our soul is being upgraded. We're connecting with it more. And these boundaries, we have protective practices, protective fields practices, to be able to get things into perspective, to have ourselves contained instead of just feeling lost in everything that's happening. And then the fourth part is soul fragment retrieval and inner child integration. So this is the pieces of the soul, our soul, that got disconnected and fragmented since our childhood. Every trauma, every painful situation we experienced emotionally, a part of our soul is detached with that. The bigger the event or the situation, the bigger the part of the soul that detaches and connects with that other situation and remains there. And we end up with a lot of these pieces of our soul just fractured all over, connected to people, connected to situations, memories, and it just stays there. And then every time we think about it, we're actually investing more energy in it, so we maintain it in wherever it is. What we need to do now is to retrieve all these soul pieces, bring them back to us again, so that we become one full person. When we are full, our higher self and our physical being integrate together, and then they can manage that new dimension that we're exploring. So the inner child integration is part of that. It's all the wounds of childhood that we need to clear up. There is a wounded child inside that we want to take hold it and invite it home, back home, and accept it and integrate it with us instead of it being isolated and separated. So these are the 4 processes that we will explore. Okay, so let's begin with the first tool, the alchemical affirmations and its benefits for the emotional resilience. So affirmations, when we speak them loud from our heart, they reprogram our emotions vibrationally. So if we are in a mindset, in a process where we are feeling down, feeling depressed, feeling bad about a situation, we are already now in a very low vibration. And the best way to, and we are in a low vibration because the protection mechanism that we have, the subconscious fight or flight, or the protection mechanism, have been activated now. So we are no longer connected empathically or intuitively. We're really in a very base survival level. And to get out of this, to move up vibrationally from this, repeating an affirmation constantly, repeating it at that time, can shift our vibration and bring it back to a higher vibrational level. So in the Taoist tradition, this is very clear, that the words we speak cultivate qi. And in the Buddhist mantras, of course, sound awakens the inner truth. So these are facts. These are techniques that have been established since ancient times. So some of the examples of what affirmations would be beneficial would be: I release all emotional burdens that do not belong to me. Because a lot of times for us empaths, we pick up the emotional burdens of other people. You know, friends come and tell us about the problem they're going through. Then we feel it and we identify with it so much that we carry it with us and walk with it, and it drops our vibration. So developing this boundary where we care about people and we empathize with them, but not to carry their weight, not to carry the emotional heaviness. That is a very important thing to develop right now. So we care about people, we offer them support and love, but not to take their problem and make it our problem. And then it ends up with two people now being upset and depressed instead of, So this is the way for us to overcome this. So this affirmation is very beneficial this way. I release all emotional burdens that do not belong to me. The second affirmation that could be beneficial is: my sensitivity is sacred and protected by divine intelligence. And what this has to do is we like using a volume control or a dimmer switch, we can reduce our empathic senses to a degree that does not allow us to pick up all the noise and distortion that is around us. Especially now, if people are following also the news, the world news, and what's happening on the planet, that can be extremely overwhelming, because it's just you're picking up all these emotional charges as well, and it's very low vibrations. So we adjust our sensitivity. Our sensitivity is so sacred. We align it only to pick up healing and beneficial vibrations that will support us in the transition that we're going through. But we should not just pick up all the noise and distortion that is happening around us. Okay, so by saying this affirmation that my sensitivity is sacred and protected by divine intelligence, it means that we are establishing an automatic detector that the moment we encounter emotional situations or traumas that are happening around us, our sensitivity can be reduced automatically so that it doesn't absorb it. We just observe it, but don't absorb it, right? So this affirmation is very critical for that one. And then the third affirmation that will be beneficial for us is: I reclaim my emotional body as a vessel of clarity, joy, and wisdom. So again, we have this emotional body, and it was filled up with all kinds of karmic things, with ancestral things, with experiences from previous lives and this life, and it just has this all kinds of information that is affecting us constantly. And so what we are doing now is we're reclaiming this emotional body back. We're saying this is our emotional body now. We take control of it. because we never did really. Whatever was happening was just happening. So now we take control of it. It is a vessel of clarity, joy, and wisdom. It's a container that we will only allow clarity, joy, and wisdom to enter into it. Otherwise, that's fine. Just send blessings, but don't get involved. So when we do it, when we practice it, we speak them loud while placing our hand on our heart or our solar plexus area. So we put our hands on our heart and we repeat these affirmations. That's one simple way to experience the affirmation benefits. Okay, the second important tool that we can work with for emotional clearing is the breath work, breathing. And there's several techniques that are, many techniques. I mean, this is an art, really. But the breathing carries the codes of our soul's rhythm. When we consciously work with our breathing, our emotions flow, and we dissolve the stagnant trauma. And we're going to go through a technique to do that. Basically, breathing is the root of life. To regulate the breath is to regulate the spirit. It's connected. When our spirit feels down or low or upset or depressed, by breathing, we can start to modulate it and regulate it and shift it. And that's what we do. One very simple technique that works all the time to most situations, to uplift and to raise our vibration, is, they call it a triangular breathing this time. Last time we talked about the square breathing. This one is the triangular breathing. So we inhale for 4, and we visualize a golden light entering into our system. We hold it for 4, and we send the light when we're holding it to the area where we feel the emotional tension. And then we exhale from 6 to 8 counts, so almost double. And we release the heaviness and the stagnant chi. So we inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. We hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or if you can continue, 7 and 8. Then we repeat again. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that way we are taking in the high vibration, the golden light, directing it into the area that we feel uncomfortable about, and then we release it, we transform it, we transmute it, and that's the process. So that's a very simple technique that we can practice anytime. Another breath that we will work with right now is called the primordial breath. So basically, there is something very special about the first breath that we take when we are born. When we are fetus in the mother womb, we don't breathe. We don't need to breathe. But once we're born into this world, the first thing we do is to take a breath. And that breath is like a reset. The mechanism of that breath is like a reset. And basically the whole system, the mind, the heart, our entire nervous system, our entire biology kicks in, starts with that first breath. To synchronize our conscious and subconscious, sympathetic, parasympathetic, our mind and the heart is basically by following this specific breathing technique. So the practice as we will do it is when we get the moment we receive a negative thought, or something comes and changes our mood, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a situation, and it really upsets us, or we got this panic attack about a situation, we can take these steps immediately. As soon as we get into that emotion that is disturbing, and we feel really bad, we stop the breathing. We don't inhale. We just stop it and start to exhale, 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 while visualizing that thought or feeling being released and guided out of our system. So the first step is the thought came in, don't inhale, because the automatic reaction is to inhale. But no, in this case, you just stop and then exhale. Exhale completely and guide that emotion or thought out, away. And then what we do after that is basically you move your eyes left and right, hold your breath out, and then move the eyes left, right, left, right, left, right. And what we're doing now is we're activating the right brain, the left brain, the right brain, left brain about that situation and processing it this way. So it's not a shock anymore. That's a very important point. So exhale completely, and while you're exhaled, hold it. And then move the eyes left, right, while you're visualizing that thought being processed, integrated, and being cleared. That's the second part. Okay, so then while we're moving our eyes, we're still continuing holding the breath out completely until you reach a point where that's it. You cannot breathe anymore. It's like you're in the water and you have to take a breath, but you can't. And finally, you go and do, and you take that big breath, and that is exactly the same breath that we took when we were first born. And it would reset in our entire system this way. So, and you will notice now that while you exhale and you hold, and you stay with the holding of the breathing off, like on the exhale, you would notice that you cannot think of the problem anymore, you know, because now suddenly the priorities of survival have shifted. So before, the survival was the financial situation, this and that, or whatever emotional, romantic shock, or whatever the nature of the trauma is, the shocking situation. But that suddenly now is being replaced by the survival, the instinctual survival mechanism of breathing. That suddenly I cannot breathe. That is more important than just some problem with a business or with a relationship, you know. And when we do that, we actually realign again our priorities, that this is worth surviving, which is the breathing, but the situation is not important. It can be handled and it will be processed. Yeah. There is also, we exhale and hold the breath out until you get a burst of energy from the adrenal glands. You feel it, and they call it the second lung. The scuba divers or the free divers, they call it a second lung, which another layer of the breathing opens up, the survival one, and that one really overrides the trigger mechanism of the negative thought that we had or the trauma that we had. So what we did now is we completely reset our entire system, our nervous system. We set the priorities of what is an important surviving issue and what is a secondary one that is simple. We transformed it and we brought ourselves back to the level that we can actually manage the situation without emotional energy loss. Let me just explain a little bit about that picture on the top right. And this is actually in one of the ancient Egyptian temples. It is a temple that holds a very important ritual for people to get rid of their fear, and for the warriors to get rid of the fear, basically. And what it is, it's like a big well, big opening with water in it, and then you have two walls in it, and you jump in one, and there is of course two crocodiles in that lake, in that pond. You jump down, And your task is to swim from underneath and then climb back up on the other side without being attacked by the crocodiles. And you can do that if you, obviously, if you manage to do this, which you can, and people did it in the past, because you don't have the fear, you get rid of the fear completely. Once you come out of it on the other side, you really killed any fear that you may have. So it was something that the warriors used to go through, but keep in mind that this depends very much on that breathing, the primordial breathing we talked about. So when you're holding your breath, exhale, 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 and stay there, you just try to imagine that you are swimming now and getting out of the crocodiles and going on the other side. That will give you more power to continue holding the breath out. And when you release and breathe after that, you just have a total reset. Yeah. We can do it together, just to become familiar with how it works. Then after that, we can just do it on our own whenever a situation comes that we require to do this type of reset. Okay? Let's take a deep breath. Inhale. And then exhale, 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 and just empty the lungs completely. And then hold it as long as you can. And the more relaxed you are, the longer you can stay with the exhalation. Stay as long as you can, and now you will start feeling a little bit an energy burst that will happen from the kidneys, from the adrenals. And when you cannot hold the breath anymore, you just go and that is the reset breath. It's important to do the sounds, and like the sound, it's really important to do it with a loud voice, because that's how babies breathe when we're first born, right? So we have to do that. And then when we exhale, we do the lung sound. This is in the Taoist tradition, the lung sound is the sound, and it brings courage to our system. So now we exhale the problem, we transmuted it, and then inhale and bring courage into our system now. So we are strong and we're courageous, and that kind of balances it. Yeah. This is something now we can repeat whenever we feel the need for it in the future. Okay, and now the third tool that we're going to be exploring is the shielding activation, creating a shield around our energy field. So we try to do that first thing in the morning when we wake up. We create this, we check and make sure that we have this protective shield around us. And also last thing at night, or when we come back from work after being among crowds and things, then we can also clear up that shield and visualize it again. So we're going to go through the details of that. And basically it's simple. It's really visualizing a radiant sphere sealing our energy field. So we feel this glowing. You can visualize it as violet color. You can visualize it as bright white, and just feel it surrounding your entire body. It's like your auric field. Visualize your auric field being complete and protected, protecting your energy so that it doesn't leak. And then you just, once you visualize that, you repeat this affirmation. You say, only energies aligned with my soul's truth and divine purpose may enter this field. So that's a command. We are programming your energy field now, that only energy that you allow to enter into your energy field is the energies that are aligned with our soul's truth and divine purpose. So now you will, and then you let it go. And this means that whenever you're walking around, there's like a filter active. Any positive energy that will benefit us will be allowed. Any negative energy will be just repelled and reflected back. And then if we're dealing with a situation, if we're actually sitting and dealing with a situation, to set boundaries. You're in a meeting, you're having a discussion with a group of people, and then somebody said something that affected you, that made you, like, you didn't feel good about it. Immediately at that point, instead of reacting and starting to be aggressive and responding back, reacting back, we ask ourselves a question. We say, is this emotion really mine? Like if a person had anger and they just expressed that anger to us, is that anger really mine, or that belongs to this person? And once we ask that question, then we don't take it. It's like, okay, you're an angry person right now, so take a couple of deep breaths, relax, and let's talk later, something like that. You will be able to manage it this way because it's really not your emotion. The moment you react to it, suddenly you took it on, and then you multiplied it. And that's the pattern that we need to really be able to distinguish and to stop. So anytime we feel negative about some situation or something somebody said, we ask ourselves this question: is this emotion truly mine? Because it's not. So you just then, with empathy, with compassion, you would look at the person and say, you're probably having a tough day. Let's talk later, and that's it. The fourth technique is the soul fragment retrieval and the inner child reconnection. And basically, when we experience situations that were so shocking to us that we could not process it mentally or emotionally, a part of our soul just gets blocked in that situation. It gets cut out and blocked in that situation, and it almost becomes a separate personality. So that technique now is to gather and collect this. And we have a whole workshop really about the soul retrieval. That's a very powerful technique. But now this is the basics that we can practice every day, and keep in mind always that whenever a shock happened to us in a situation, we need to go back and call that part of our soul and bring it back to us, and then forgive the people, forgive ourselves, and become whole again, become one person again. That's really very critical. So basically what we do is we sit quietly and we ask inwardly, we ask ourselves, which part of my soul is ready to return? Okay, and visualize and see what comes up. And suddenly a memory of a situation of a younger, when you were young or a child, it may appear, and you would remember a situation at school, a situation with friends or something. And basically you visualize that younger person of yourself that appears, or that you remember it, and you wrap them with a beautiful glowing golden light, and then you join them with you and you speak to them and you say, you are safe now, you belong with me, I welcome you home. And you can do that with ancestral wounds. Let's say if we know in our family that was some trauma that happened to a member of our family, for example, then we can visualize this person in our family, bring them back, and basically we're bringing the part of our soul back, integrating it with us, welcoming it home, and integrating ourselves again and becoming complete. And you can work, because we're working now with timeline healing, they call it timeline therapy. You're moving in time and you're getting the situation that happened in the past, and you're integrating it and processing it and clearing it up. And that's the process that it's simple, and if we are aware of it, we can actually clear so many things that can be considered a block.
Okay, so Akma, I have a questions.
Mm-hmm.
You said that we can call back one of our family.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like it can be a grandparent, like they could be passed away. right? But our part of the soul is connected with the trauma. Let's say there was one of our ancestors we know that passed away in a not very good way in an accident or something, or in a war. So because we grew up listening to this and hearing this, we have a fear right now. We have some trauma that we inherited because of the stories we heard. So a part of our soul is really connected now with a situation that happened, 100 years ago. And what we're doing now is we're clearing that up. So we would connect with that ancestor, and we will retrieve back the part of our soul or our younger self that could be trapped in that situation. And then we will repeat, we will say, you are safe now, you belong with me, welcome. You wrap them in the golden thing, and then you release and you integrated that memory. So you will have it only as a memory, as information, but you will not be emotionally connected with it with a link. And that's what we're doing. We're cutting that cord and retrieving our soul back.
I have a question. May I?
Yes, please. Yes.
You know about this past trauma where we have with our ancestors or family members and all that kind of thing. But if we don't know what is it, but it just keeps on disturbing. But we really don't know what the trauma. But we how do I explain this? Okay, there is a pain, but we don't understand what the pain is. How do we overcome that kind of a thing? But there's the pain is constantly there. How do we overcome this? I don't know which category it falls into.
Yeah, so there is no specific information about the trauma or the memory, but we receive a pain associated with one of the family members. Is that what you mean?
Either family members or situation. It can be anything, but the pain is constantly there. So how do we overcome that? Yeah.
Okay, so what we would do then is the primordial breath will be ideal for something like this. When you're experiencing that overwhelming pain about the situation, you would exhale and inhale and then exhale and hold it while you're releasing that actual, like the memory or the pain itself. And like we said, it's going to be shifting the priority of survival now. So that situation, whatever it was, it will be reduced in scale. And when you're moving your eyes left and right while you are holding the breath in the exhale, this is a very well known technique in psychology. EMDR, it's called eye movement desensitization and repatterning. So moving the eyes left and right will take that, whatever that situation is, and process it with the left and right parts of the brain, emotional and physical basically, and then it will be reduced. And then we can call our soul back. We can proceed with this fourth technique that we've just completed, where we would call our part of the soul that were trapped in that situation, bring it back, send forgiveness to the person, forgiveness to ourselves, forgiveness to the situation, and then just gather it back, hold it, and welcome it home. And what you will find after that is anytime the memory of that situation will come, will be just a memory, will be information, but the charge of the emotions will be already reduced quite a bit, if not removed completely.
Okay, so we have to do it a couple of times to actually until we completely feel relief of it, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like if you just apply these two techniques, the primordial breath, and then you would do the soul retrieval. If you do it once and then observe it and recall it back and see how it is, assess the situation, you will notice that it's reduced quite a bit. Like maybe it reached 30%. It's already dropped 70%, right? Maybe it's completely deleted, or maybe you need to do it one more time after that again if it wasn't as much because our focus was not clear about it at that time. So you can repeat it a second time after that, but usually it doesn't take too many times. When you do that mechanism of the primordial breathing, it really resets totally. because that's the first breath when we were born. It's almost like you're telling your system, I'm born again now. Anything that happened in the
Okay.
past, shouldn't hurt me in a way.
Okay. All right. Fine. Okay. Okay. Just one more question. What if situations are like, we don't feel like being in that place repeatedly. It's not like constantly every day. I'll give you an example of like, when you go to work and you really don't feel, and you're dragging yourself and you really feel, but it's necessity. You see, it's a necessity. One part of your mind is telling, yeah, you know how you have to, and there's another part is you're just not comfortable because the surroundings, the energy there, it doesn't. You feel so not there anymore. You don't feel connected to the energy. During this time, what can we do? What can I do, or what can we do? Yeah.
We have to tell ourselves a couple of things. First of all, we understand that we're doing this because we want to make money to pay for our expenses and living things, right? So we know that. And
Yep.
we want also to tell ourselves that this is not who we are. Like being at that job, doing what we have to do, that we are not really very excited about it. It's
Yeah.
not who we are. It's something we have to do just because the structure of society right now is done this way. So we would explain it to ourselves that this is something that we do just as part of a process that's happening in the world. But we remind ourselves that we are a spiritual person, a being. We have much more than what this job is, because we do. I mean, look at us Sunday, and we're spending 2 hours, sharing things like this. This is important for us, obviously. And I'm sure you and many of our friends, we are very busy with spiritual activities, with concern about the world and things like that. That's who we are. So that job is just a small part, until hopefully we can replace it with something else, until the time when we don't need money to do things, or when we create the type of communities that support each other, that we don't need as much money to live as we do now, right?
Yes, there are more questions. So, let me see. So, how to find where is our soul fragment, soul pieces, and sometimes they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's the problem.
So we can actually have a separate workshop on this one, because it's quite intense, like extensive. But basically the way, anything that makes us feel sad, we feel hurt by it, it means that part of our soul is there. So whatever that situation is, that every time we remember it, we feel really low and upset and sad. That's where we lost our soul. We just have our soul in that place. So we start with these topics, with these subjects. When we have a situation like that you remember it, and then you feel down about it, and it keeps coming up regularly, like it's common sadness that we have. That means that the soul is attached to it. There's a fragment there. So that's how we can tell which areas, and then we can start to go one by one with these ones. The way we would do it in a process, like in a retreat or something, or in a separate therapy session, would be is to keep track of, write down all the different painful experiences that you have. And we begin with the really big ones, like the big, heavy, painful things that happen to us, that every time we remember them, it really drains us down. So we start like that, with these lists. And then we start with them one by one. We process it, we clear them up. Basically, we move it into the different chakras to clear up, to find out where the pain is. And then after that, we call that soul back. And then we send love and forgiveness to ourselves and to the person. Even if the person was not a very nice person to us, you just forgive them and leave them to the universe to deal with them. But you have to forgive, because when you forgive now, you can retrieve back your part of the soul. If we don't forgive, It means that I'm keeping that guard there, or that guardian there, to deal with, to keep this alive. So the part of your soul is stuck there. But when you forgive and take your soul back, then you cleared it up and you integrated it, and you will start to feel more and more energy, because now more parts of your soul is getting back to you. These souls required so much energy to maintain them in many, many different situations. When we bring them back, suddenly now we will be able to have much more energy, because we don't waste energy maintaining these dramas that happened in the past.
So there's another questions. Is there any methods to heal our inner child?
Yes. So what we described briefly, of course, there's big sessions that we can do, like actual workshops. Like each one of these 4 items, we can actually talk more about it, especially the soul retrieval and the inner child healing. Each one of them can be an actual workshop, because it's a process, really. But it's very simple that we can actually do it also. But the basic knowledge is what we're getting right now. And for the inner child, really, what is required is, again, it is what is the pain that is coming to us. Now, we can get the guidance through therapists like yourself, where you can find out exactly what the origin of a problem that happened in the past, like a psychological issue that I have. Let's say I'm shy, I'm defensive in a big crowd of people. Let's say there's a behavior like that, but that happened because when we were children, we got wounded. And that wound now is making us ashamed, or shy to talk in front of a big group of people. So that's kind of one of the areas. Once we identify the issue itself, it means that, like, I came back from a meeting and I didn't speak very well, and I feel I should have done better, right? That's a weakness that I discovered in my character. That will 100% be because when I was a child and I was at school and I went to speak in front of the class, I made a mistake and then they made fun of me or something, right? So that is a wounded child now that is there. So what I have to do is to ask myself, like, is this serving me anything anymore? Is this protection that happened, or that behavior I have, is necessary now? Where did it come from? And do I need it? And if I don't need it anymore, then I will basically visualize my young self when I was a child, when that situation happened, and bring it back, cover it with that beautiful golden light, integrate it with myself, and then tell it, you are safe now, you belong with me, I welcome you home. So and you can repeat that with many of the wounds, and I'm sure all of us got wounds when we were children. And that's what the inner child work is about, really, is to identify where an area in our life that's making it hard for us. Most like 1000% it just happened when we were children. And then meet yourself at that young age and give love to yourself, give forgiveness, and say it's okay, we don't need to hold on to this memory anymore. We learned from it, and now we can move further. So that's basically the process is like that.
Okay, thank you.
Let's read this closing invocation. So, dear souls, we who walk between worlds, may our tears become crystalline rivers of wisdom. May every wound alchemize into golden insight. May the emotional storms purify, not destroy. We are not broken, we are birthing. And through our sacred feelings, the new earth is born. So let this invocation anchor our remembrance. We are not here to bypass emotions. We are here to transmute it into light. Thank you very much.